Good evening, everybody. I'm gonna call to order the Town of Swanton Selectboard meeting, today being June 4th, 2024, and it is 6 p.m. First item of business is pledge allegiance. If you will, please join us. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, agenda review. We'll start on this end.
I am good, thank you.
Nicole.
Are we gonna talk about the rec?
Yes, the building budget.
Yep.
Yes, I'm good. I'm gonna add that to the agenda.
Where would you like to add that? I'd like to make sure that gets talked about.
It is under Old Town Business Rec Building Project Modification is what I was gonna say.
All right.
I'm all set.
All right, I got a couple things. Under Highway Department, I want to add item D, line striping. I want to talk about that for just a minute. And then I want to talk about something on McQuam Shore. There's a right-of-way where there's something being constructed in it, and we need to talk about that and take some action. Cody?
All set.
Steve? Brian?
Okay, I got a couple of things. First of all, under other necessary business, the very last page in your packet, I included the draft letter to the owners and residents of the BD Road in South River Street that you sent me, and I forwarded out so we can discuss that.
After minor modifications?
After minor modifications. And then also, we've got, I'd like to also talk under other business very briefly on the FEMA flood buyout program. They're offering that again, and application, so I'd like to talk about that briefly. FEMA buyout.
Okay, the letter to the residents, where was that? You want to put that?
That's all under any other necessary business.
Okay, yeah, so that'll be B, and then C will be FEMA.
FEMA, yep.
Okay,
I will have something for executive session.
all right. So, having gone through that, we have two sets of minutes to approve. One is for May 21, 2024, and then the special select board meeting of May 24, 2024. Can I hear a motion?
I just have a question on the ones for May 21st, I wasn't here.
Okay.
I see that we had a profit and loss of the library, and I guess it's a draft, it wasn't going to be the final one, am I correct?
Yes, right.
I would really encourage them to give us the actual plan. I'd like to know where we are at the library according to the plan.
For the year, the spending for the year.
Yeah, well, this is a quarterly, it's first quarter, so maybe they could tell us where they had budgeted to be in the first quarter, so we have something to compare it.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
and,
Can you ask them?
Yeah.
I don't know if I can bring it up on other business, but I figured why the hell.
Okay. Do I hear a motion? Approve the minutes?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion been made, second, to approve the minutes of those two meetings. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
I'll have to abstain, I wasn't here for that
That's
meeting.
for one.
Just for one, just for the 21st.
Okay. Then, yeah, we got enough people voted in the positive, so we're good.
Okay.
All right, so we have a presentation tonight by the Missisquoi Valley School District.
Well, more like a discussion. I do have some flyers with the new information and links to. So our new budget vote will be on
If
June,
you
I'm
could just-
sorry,
Yeah, introduce yourselves and,
I apologize.
that's all right.
Julie Regival, Superintendent.
And I'm Stephanie Gagne, School Director for Swan.
Okay, thank you.
And so we're just here to update the community in as many ways as we can, so we appreciate the invitation here. The new vote will be on June 18th, Tuesday, June 18th, at the usual place in Swanton here at the Village Complex. We cut our first first cut that failed last time was $1,035,000. This cut is an additional $835,000, so the total cut from town meeting day to now is $1,700,000. We are now at a place where the equalized tax rate, so that's the part of the tax rate that is related to our school budget, that's the same in all three towns and not adjusted for CLA. That tax rate is now $1.19. When we merged, it was $1.43, so that's to give you some perspective there.
What is that for last year, if you compare it?
Last year was $1.24. So and of
Julie,
course, the CLA is
You're down to 119 now,
$1.19,
and it was 124 last year.
$1.24 last year.
And that even counts in the CLA.
That's not with the CLA, that's
Oh.
just the equalized tax rate. With the CLA in Swanton, it will be $1.51.
And that would have compared to what last year?
Oh gosh, I don't have that right in front of me.
I think it was
That's
138.
138, Kathy?
That's rounding it.
It's, no, that was our
Oh.
first proposal.
Oh, okay.
That was our first proposal. So our CLA in all three towns is not favorable, but that's the part that's connected to our property values as well as statewide spending. And the part that's assessed to all three of our towns, that's based on our school budget, is the $1.19. And we have cut some principal's office, there was savings from hiring a new assistant principal. We have cut clerical positions in central office, in the business office. We have cut some capital, we have cut interest expense, we have cut some, have lists here. We had,
The Highgate roof.
we cut a portion of the Highgate roof, yep, and we reallocated some of that because we're concerned about cutting too deeply in too many areas. But we did, so we cut $835,000. We tried to cut from general administration, some of those costs that people are concerned about. And as well as, we didn't want to just cut from capital because people were pretty clear that they wanted to see broader. Some of the things we added, we're cutting a vacant teaching position that was in addition. We're cutting a custodial position that was in addition. We cut somebody at MBU who is not an administrator, but is in one of those positions that people consider an administrator. Those are done usually through attrition, retirements, and things like that, but we cut from a variety of places throughout the budget. We have Swanton specific community coffee conversation, come and speak with the Swanton board members, and any other board members are welcome to attend. And that'll be this Saturday from 8:30 to 9:30 at Swanton Central School Library. And then our informational meeting will be on the 10th at 7 o'clock at MVU.
Okay.
July 10th?
June 10th. Did I say July? It's
No,
entirely
you
possible.
did, that's why I asked. Thanks.
Our turn.
Absolutely.
First of all, I know you folks are very busy trying to work this and appreciate you wanting to come here and talk a little bit about it. I don't have tons of questions other than this whole budget process is very complicated. When I hear the legislators talking about it and not even be able to explain on TV exactly how it all works. What is the percentage, or will we know yet, the increase for the Swanton residents as far as their school,
Their tax rate
their
increase?
tax rate? Because that's generally what we try to do when we
Right.
present our
Is that
budgets.
the 1.51 you said?
That is the 1.51.
13 cents.
How much?
13 cents.
It's just 13, we have 14 cents here,
Okay,
but it's
all right,
13 and change.
What's the percentage if it's 14 cents?
What's the percentage?
You got your calculator, Kathy? What was the rollover?
We usually bring over just around, a little over $1 million so that we, of our surplus. We try and spend we have to have surplus for unexpected
Right.
things, right? And when you're talking about 46 something million
Right.
dollars.
Right.
It's not a lot, so we're very tight. But then we usually try and get some kind of projects done that we can, smaller scale things. And we have over $1 million that we, after it's audited, and so it skips a year, and then it comes back to taxpayers. So we always have at least $1 million.
How much did the smaller things add up to, do you know? Cause they were they would have been part of the rollover if they weren't done, right?
It varies from year to year, I think it's about $600,000 this year, but what comes into FY '25 is FY '23's
Okay,
revenue,
so how much was that? Just another million?
over $1 million, but I don't have the exact number.
On the equalized property tax rate, if our appraisal values were at 100%.
Yeah.
Our tax rate would be 138.
I am sorry that I can't be the CLA person, right? Like, I know that the CLA factors in not only to our, it's the statewide system, so I don't know if it would be $1.38 if we were at 100, probably.
Well, it
Because
should
that
be,
would've
because
been
that's what our
from last year,
equalized
right.
tax rate would be based
From
on our
last year.
per pupil spending, right? Our equalized tax rate, they call it.
The equalized tax rate is the portion that is the same for each of our towns, it's based on our budget and our number of pupils. And that's the $1.19.
You got a
As far
percentage?
as the
No, I
CLA,
don't. I wanna see.
Kathy's the person,
Oh,
that probably one.
Yeah,
But the CLA is impacted by statewide spending as well as our local property taxes. It's all figured in. It's part of the reason why it's such a challenge to explain
well,
to
the
taxpayers is because it is about as obtuse as a formula as anyone has.
But that's why what the taxpayer understands is the percentage increase. That is what everyone can, understand and have to deal with. The complicated formula, that's, something created and you folks all have to work with that, but
That's the
message
CLA
that-
portion.
what's that?
The portion that I can communicate about is the part of the budget that's our education, net ed spending divided by our weighted pupils and what that equals to the tax rate, and that's the $1.19. And the rest is after the CLA is applied. And, we have gone down every year in our portion of the budget. But at the same time, not the budget itself, the tax rate portion. We've paid attention, we've made efficiencies, we've maximized, we've known when our pupils are going up and down. Sometimes it's a bit of a surprise. We've been very stable, even through COVID, we dipped with pupils during COVID, but it is an average over several years. The school portion of the budget has gone down since the merger, but at the same time, the CLA portion of has gone up. So people haven't really seen the savings that we've been working hard to bring.
Well, it's very confusing because what you're saying now is if our CLA was at 100% in all three towns, that the tax rate would be $1.19.
I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't know whether they would still,
So where would,
because I know towns where their tax rate, they're at 100%, and it's still not making their tax rates flat. So
yeah,
I
because,
don't wanna say something, or it's not true.
So
I know.
I've got 2.16% increase. over last year.
2%?
2.16.
that's based on the 138 and one,
It's on the, cause I had our tax rate when we got it was 0.138.
Yeah.
0.3849.
Okay.
So, and to the 1.51, it's a 2.16% increase.
and this is a drop of, it says 14 cents since, from your original.
From our town meeting day proposal.
What was that, Earl?
That was a
14% was when we voted on town meeting.
this, what the first original budget tax rate would be.
Right,
Would have been
This one here is
$1.65.
14 cents less than the
Okay.
original one.
alright, so that's the assessment per 1,000?
Yeah.
Okay, or per 100,
Yeah.
per 100,
Right.
okay.
So that, you know, on a $300,000 home, that's, 3 times 15 is 4,500. 48,
Is
100
that the
somewhere.
increase or total road?
No, that's a total. But that, they don't necessarily pay that because the state has their program based on income.
Absolutely. Income sensitivity is a big part of the formula.
One thing I hear in the news, and I'm sure you work very diligently to get this budget where it is, the ARPA money, which no longer exists, we got that all corrected so that when next year's budget comes, that impact won't be there.
Yeah, we were one of the districts that we were very careful with our spending, and we didn't hire a lot of people. We hired a few people, some of which are still in this budget. We have a truancy professional that works with our families who really struggle to come to school. She goes into people's homes. You know, there were a couple, we have a social worker at the high school. We have a couple of key positions that are really making a difference that are continue to be in this budget. We did not hire lots and lots of people. So we still actually have money. So we are running our summer program here in Swanton, well, all our towns, but because we have enough grant money and carryover for this allocated for the summer program so that we can still provide the summer program for our students. If, you know, if the budget doesn't pass, you know, then that would impact the school year and whether we can provide transportation. I mean, those are things we don't want to impact. But when we get at discretionary things, it's transportation and but I struggle because our families tell us that without transportation, they can't send their school to the after school program. And that program makes a big difference for our kids. So that's where we are with those issues.
Alright, Steve?
Just a couple of questions. First of all, I know you're working hard at this. It's a never-ending battle. I served on the board for 2 different terms. Earl was up there for quite a few years, so we understand what you're going through, and I really empathize with you. How many students are in the school now?
We've 1,806. That number is the full child count that we use.
So 800,
1,800.
1,800 in the school? I'm just talking to Cisco.
In the Siskoy MVU,
Yeah,
750, 760,
okay.
in that range.
What's the student-teacher ratio at MVU?
It's actually pretty good. I don't have the number because the state does it differently. They look at big picture, and high schools require, you know, every teacher has every student has multiple teachers.
Sure.
But we have been pretty tight on our ratios, so I asked the principals, do you need, you know, so-and-so's retiring, do you need to replace that position? What's the enrollment look like for that class? How many classes are running? We do that for every position that becomes vacant. You know, right now we're scrambling because we've had some hard to fill positions retire. And, you know, we're looking for a health teacher. We can't find a health teacher. So we make sure our classrooms have plenty of students in them. And we don't have classrooms with hardly any. Unless we decide we really should run the class, or it would be a study hall. I'd rather run a class with 12 kids in it than have a study hall. One of the things that we're doing next year as a district, and actually around the region at the school districts, is to look at what are our special ed caseloads, how many teachers does the coach interact with, how many students do the interventionists see, how many classes, you know, do we run in the middle school, how many exploratories are there, making sure that we are having our teachers with full schedules. And
Well, it sounds like you're
so,
doing-
yeah,
Sounds like you're doing all the right things, I mean.
well, it's not, this isn't a one-time thing.
I know that.
This is going to be, for the next several years, it's gonna be a difficult environment, and we have to do that work.
How much maintenance have we put down, deferred maintenance have we shoved out into future years,
Well,
like the roof and other serious issues?
I have to say that some schools had more deferred maintenance than others, but that since we have come together, we have put a very good capital plan, 5-year and beyond plan for all of our schools. We have maximized our hot lunch surplus so that we are able to, you know, make sure our kitchens are upgraded and Laura, I'm knocking on metal here. We think we're gonna be able to put in unit ventilators at MVU because they happen to be in the kitchen, right? HVAC work that will be paid with hot lunch surplus rather than maintenance. But we've been doing replacement all the time. The roof in Highgate is it's been repaired and repaired and repaired and repaired. We will be putting it on in a future year. That'll come back.
So how much in the budget where we saved $1,700,000, how much of that was deferred maintenance that we kicked down the road? Like the roof, whatever, that would have been paid for maybe in this year's budget.
Well, we've cut the roof in the parking lot.
Okay, how much was that?
The roof, we cut $250,000 from capital there. We put some in, maintenance, because we're gonna have to do some
Oh, sure.
more repair, which we hate repairing something that needs replacing, but it's a reality. The parking lot was only gonna be phase 1. That's gonna be $1 million for phase 1, and then the
So
next
you,
bit, it'll be multiple years.
how much of that did you put off that was of that 1.7 million of the parking lot and the roof?
About 1.25.
One and a quarter million of the 1.7 million is
Is
what I
for
call
maintenance.
kicking the can,
Yes,
like our legislature.
yes.
Not your fault, but it's good.
Well,
So,
it's a reality.
so we really saved, it's gonna come back and bite us somewhere.
It's more expensive every
Yeah,
time.
exactly, but it's gonna
Yes.
come back and bite us. So we've saved about 600,000 of what I call operating expenses. The rest was deferred stuff that's gonna come back in one way or another.
Just to clarify, when you're talking roof, you're talking Highgate, right?
Yes, the Babcock roof is being replaced this spring, with some surplus. We're
What
replacing
about
all-
MVU? I thought they had a roof.
That is,
Ongoing.
that's ongoing, yes, that's still happening. We have,
That's
that
still,
contract is signed in the fall. We are committed to replacing that entire roof.
so that's in the budget,
That is in the budget.
in this final budget that you're
Absolutely
presenting
is.
tonight, okay,
That, you know, that building's in a world of hurt.
yeah.
That
Yeah,
roof
a
is
roof,
terrible.
roof is a critical thing, and I hope this project they got going is gonna be a long-term solution to
Yes,
MVU's problems.
absolutely.
Can just so I can understand, if you have a house that's worth, would you say, Earl, 300,000, and it's gonna be about 3,500, how much were the taxes last year?
4,500.
4,500.
Yeah.
How much was it last year?
Well, if you back down that 13 cents,
I'd say the 2 and a little percent less,
138,
right?
so that's a little hard, that's like 140. There you go.
My brain's still thinking about children. I actually just came from the school, in the after-school program today.
4,500, 2%,
Yes, 2%.
would be $90.
If you go 1.38 times 40.
I know, but I can't get in, like, I got something to think about. Oh, that's what I'm doing.
That'd be 148. Times 1,500 times 3 is 42.
I'll have it down before I get hit the right.
Yeah,
numbers.
you're looking at around $350 range increase.
$350.
Yeah.
$30 a month.
3 to 350. It's just off the top of my head.
That's usually pretty accurate.
41.50.
41.50.
It's 350.
No, it's good, I gotta add a zero to that.
So $41 a year?
No,
No.
it's gonna be $4,150 versus $4,350. So it's about $90.
About 90.
right, yeah.
So it's $43.50.
That's per thousand.
So if it's a $3,000 home, based on last year's rate, I can get my numbers. It'd be 4,154.70 versus 4,500.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it's not 2%.
But in that 350
It's
range,
not a
yep,
2% increase.
What's that?
It's not a 2% increase, and
it's more than that.
it's gotta be a lot more than that. 2% is $90, so 4,500.
Yeah, that's about a 10%.
Yeah.
Just
Which
for-
is when I look at this, when it's
125, and then you divide that and divide it into the last year's rate, multiply by 100, it's 2.164. And it's not 14%, it's 12.5.
what was last year's rate?
Last year's rate was 1.3849.
1.38. I'm just gonna say 1.38, and 1.51 is
Right.
the proposed.
Yeah.
It's about a 10%, a little over 10% or 10%
Wow.
increase, because it's
Yeah.
1.38 last year. 10% would be, yeah.
But everybody needs to remember, when I looked at the same brochure with your original font, budget, it was like a 32% increase.
It was,
But that included some maintenance.
Yes,
that
it
had been
included
taken out.
everything,
And
right.
that's my concern, it's
Yeah.
gonna come back and bite us. Okay, we're playing games here with the numbers. I guess my concern is, we've got a lot of folks that can't pay their taxes now. We got a lot of folks that they can't buy their food, they can't heat their house, they can't buy their medicine. And $41 a month may not sound like a lot of money, but to some people, that's the difference between living in their home and going to the food shelf. Because they can't afford to feed themselves. And I'm a little disappointed, although I know how hard you're working, you really didn't come with numbers, we had to do the figuring here. And that's disappointing to me, that we had to try to figure out what the increase was. So maybe if you present it again, you might have all this information.
well, our meeting is on the 10th.
So you'll have all, so we
We'll
won't
have
be,
information.
we won't be having these kinds of discussions, you're gonna have that for us, saying this represents this, this, and this. Because that's disappointing with the budget you have of $48 million we have to guess, to be honest with you.
Anything else, board members? Cody?
No.
Earl?
No, I'm all set.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
We
you.
got a
and,
difficult road ahead, but we'll know on the 17th. 18th, yeah, we moved our meeting to the 17th, yes.
Before you ladies leave, can I just share something in public comment? Because that's what's next on our list.
Yeah?
Perfect. I just wanted to share with everybody, the Swanton Public Library and Swanton Rec had a first annual Youth Appreciation Gala this past week, and we recognized 12 phenomenal young people in our community that are participants in your school programs as well as your school. And we are just so proud of all of them, so I just wanted to share this with you guys, and I'll give you guys one as well.
Thank you.
We also had a lot of support from your after-school programs, and we couldn't have done it without the collaboration, so we are really grateful for that as well.
That's wonderful. Kids, who's that?
You were there.
Five kids that graduated from MBU, and they did
I
a
just
good
got
job
two.
preparing them, so thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
She's her links over, and thank you, have a good evening.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna continue with public comment. And now we're gonna move on to law enforcement. Chief Sullivan.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
You ready for the 10-degree days to keep people inside and quiet? I know there's been a little more excitement, that's why I say that.
Yeah, it's definitely been consistently busy here. So for the month of May, you will see we responded to 113 incidents in the town, and the top 10 incident types are 53 directed patrols, 14 suspicious, 7 community outreach, 6 agency assist, 5 traffic stops, 4 motor vehicle complaints, and then I want to say it's 3 alarms, 3 welfare checks, 3 I had that figured out.
Property watch. and
There's
juvenile
property watch
problem.
and juvenile problems, yeah. Those last 2 categories there. So I'm a little, quite frankly, when I ran the data, I was expecting a little more traffic stops. Because they were so low, I mean, one of the issues we had is one of our primary guys who loves to do traffic was in training for 3 weeks. So he was out of the office. And that, quite frankly, was a struggle for us just to fill the shift when we have somebody in training like that. But I looked more globally at all of the traffic stops for May, and we had 27. So it gives you some idea that there was more traffic being done between the village, town, and elsewhere, which impacts all of our communities, just because the traffic problem is so bad everywhere. And I can say personally, because it was the end of last week, I was headed home, and I think I got passed by a motorcycle going well over 100 miles per hour in a line of traffic. And when I attempted to stop the motorcycle, just trying to get around the 2 vehicles in front of me, he was already several hundred yards up the road. And then as I was closing the distance to see if he would stop, he blew past the next 2 cars and was again looking like he was approaching well into 100 miles an hour as he was closing on Fairfield. So I just shut off the lights and siren because there's nothing we can do with stuff like that.
That road ain't very straight either.
No, it's not. No. So it is a problem, I think, everywhere as far as the traffic behavior goes. And you'll see, we'll get to it as far as the speed trailer was out on McQuam Shore, so we got a good data set from that. But out of those 5 traffic stops, there were 4 tickets issued, there were 3 warnings issued, and there were 2 arrests out of the traffic stops. There were 4 arrest charges total for the month, representing 4 individuals. And then in regard to additional services, there were 12.8 hours of additional services, so we've been doing pretty well as far as getting out there and doing that. And rather than, obviously we're coming to the end of the school year, so we'll probably look to branch out and address some of these problem spots with traffic enforcement regarding the additional services, just getting out there and running some radar and LiDAR and hopefully tamping down some of the behavior.
So on the additional services, I know that you said related to the school, are you getting feedback at all? And I know you probably are running some of them based on what you said last time, but
Yeah, I'm out there.
what are you seeing?
I mean, it hasn't been that bad, and we focused on, kind of the elementary school, Grand Avenue area, also the 4th Street side. We have been up at NVU in that area. We followed the school buses out on their routes through the town, and we really haven't seen anything. I can tell you personally, running the LiDAR, I haven't had any egregious speeds on Grand Avenue when I've been out there. Now, we had the speed trailer out there. I think that was in the last data that I presented to the select board. And there were some problems that were picked up, right? Some anomalies, and same thing you'll see here with the data set on McQuam Shore. I mean, overall, looking at this data set, it's really not that bad. And at the bottom, I've kind of categorized all the speeds that were picked up during contract hours that I feel were, quite frankly, more egregious, and something that we would certainly address if we were out there and measured somebody at these speeds. But then in the grand scheme of things, you're looking at 2.5% of the total data set of 18,489 vehicles. And Speed Trailer was out there from May 14th until May 30th, again, measuring that many vehicles within the 40 mile per hour speed limit. And there were, out of that data set, 8,602 of those vehicles were above the 40 mile per hour speed limit. And then really that 10 mile per hour margin of error that we in general give to individuals, and it varies from officers. Some officers allow 15, but in an area like that, I like to keep it more. I can see 10, but once you get to 11, 12, I mean, there are a lot of people out there on nice days as we get into this warmer weather using that area. And so that was what was concerning to me also, is the time on some of these, like these two measurements at over 100 miles per hour, both at 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. I mean, that's during daylight hours. That's when people are still out and about, busy. So, I'm quite frankly, I'm a little surprised we didn't get calls from community members, because people must have witnessed this
And that's,
at those times.
yeah, and that's also when it starts getting a little shadowy down there, and
Yeah.
some of the people walking do not wear bright clothes.
No,
And-
there's no shoulder on the roadway.
Yeah, and they are right next to the road.
Yeah.
If you're not really paying attention, yeah.
So I have, over the last couple of years, personally been out there myself, engaged in governor's highway safety detail, traffic enforcement, trying to address the speeding issue. But it is a problem. I mean, again, looking at these 464 vehicles are representing 2.5% of the total data set. The majority of them, of course, are within the 11 to 20 mile per hour range, 362 of them. But then you're still getting like the 81 to 90 mile per hour. I don't understand how, people are driving that fast on Maquam Shore. It makes no sense to me. And it's possible that they're motorcycles. I mean, we did have the incident last year where a motorcycle ran from officers while we were trying to address the incident, and then unfortunately we believe that individual lost their life subsequently driving in a similar manner down on Maquam Shore with these motorcycles. But my guess is when you're getting those speeds, that's most likely what it is.
When they come around the corner on Public Beach and they're going south, they crank those things up.
What's just
I mean, it is, I bet 100, you've got your stats here, but it is loud, noisy, and very unsafe. And they seem to make that corner and just see how fast they can get to the next corner down by the water plant. And like Joel said, you don't wanna be out there.
Same thing as James Road.
Yeah.
When I'm standing outside, you can tell they've turned off James Road, because all of a sudden they rev it up and start headed north, and it's the Maquam Shore drag strip is what happens down there. It's terrible.
So is there a common practice? I mean, to me, even seeing one of those is super concerning, but is there a common practice to sit and kind of like and watch? Is that or is it typical for them just to drive around, and does it seem
Well, I can tell you what I do. So during the governor's highway safety details, I will sit in a spot and try to not be easily observed.
Right.
And so that way, by the time they observe me, I've already measured their speed.
Right.
And so that's what officers tend to do on these details, and I think that's what we'll probably do with the additional services also, is try to get down there and do that. I mean, as the officers are driving around, the vehicles are equipped with, except for my vehicle, with radar units. So those radar units are running, and they're constantly picking up speeds in the vehicles around them as they're driving on routine patrol. But generally speaking, when we target an area, that's what we'll do. We'll sit and we'll try to measure vehicles, as they enter essentially that area that we're observing.
Can you be more aggressive with tickets, Chief? I mean, I understand 10 miles, you're probably gonna still go ahead and no purgatory. Can you be more aggressive on the Maquam Shore Road, that if you're 8 or 9 miles over, you're gonna get a ticket?
You could, but that's something, I mean, it's something, it's difficult to, we don't really make a hard line for officers. We allow officer discretion because everybody's circumstances are a little different. So for example, I know officers in the past that I recall looking at one incident where a young woman, a single mother, had some issues, and the officer was lenient. I mean, she had no prior violations. And the officer demonstrated some leniency towards her because it would have had a severe financial impact. And the officers recognize that. And quite frankly, officers don't like to write tickets in general because they understand the financial impact is pretty extreme. I mean, if you are on a tight budget, receiving not so much speed, so much down there when you're writing it because of this calculation. I mean, generally speaking, if you are doing a decent speed, it'll be a little over $100 per ticket, but still that can have a severe adverse impact for somebody you're dealing with. So we don't like to set hard and fast rules. I know there's discussion, you know, sometimes as far as quotas and that sort of thing go. There's never been a quota as far as my work at the Burlington Police Department or at the Swanton Police Department saying you need to do this. Because here's the other thing, you can go out on patrol and you may not make any observations, and we can't fabricate traffic stops, right? We can't fabricate violations. I mean, clearly it's happening, right? This data set demonstrates it, that we are getting violations, and in different areas, right? It's not just here, it's Route 7, right? Both up, I mean, when we had the measurement up by the stump dump, clearly we had some pretty egregious speeding issues there. Down further south by the country club. So I've asked officers to focus on these areas. And then quite frankly, our capacity is another limiting issue because, you know, for example, on Sunday, we had 2 pretty major incidents with assaults, both of them, the second one right on the heels of the first one being an aggravated domestic assault, which ended up in a lodging, which took both officers off the road for an extended period of time. And then we had pretty much nobody out there on patrol during that time period. So it is difficult. It's a capacity issue. You know, if we had 5 guys on every shift, it'd be easy. I mean, the 2 guys, you're out there, you're just doing traffic the whole time. So, but we are going to continue to aggressively address it because this is a priority for the community, and it has gotten bad, especially since COVID. I mean, I've observed it personally, the way people operate with just disrespect for the general population, especially in these residential areas. It makes no sense to me.
We have a lot of VRBOs on the Long Shore, and these folks come from out of state and they want to go for a walk during the day. They're not aware of how fast people go on this road, and they don't wear bright colors. We know that, and I'm just fearful that a tourist in one of these, they call them little mini motels that keep popping up, are going to get injured. That's the concern I have.
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly, at some of these speeds, who knows what could happen.
Sure.
Especially the visibility, just getting out on the road. So when I hear we have one officer that likes to do the traffic stop, that tells me we have several that don't. Are we getting a couple hours a night?
Oh yeah, they're always out there on patrol, so that's what the directed patrols represent. I mean, they are.
Are they driving around, or are they actually sitting in an area?
Well, I've asked them to do different things. You know, I like to, because basically we're more efficient with our resources if we essentially take data like this from the speed trailer, recognize where we have problem areas, and then focus on those problem areas. So that's what I've also asked the officers to do. I asked them specifically to address Grand Avenue, Route 7, down by the stump dump, because there were such egregious speeds down there. And consistently, like, if you look at the percentages on that report that I provided, they were much worse than what this shows on Macquam Shore. But this still shows a problem.
Oh yeah,
Right,
and out in West Swanton, we got a couple of spots out there.
Yeah, 78's always been bad, and so.
But what I'm angling toward is, you know, if you don't like doing traffic stops, then you could spend a lot of your shift just getting from West Swanton up onto French Hill and stuff. But are you requiring them to park a car somewhere for a certain amount of time? Are you leaving that up there?
Not necessarily.
See, I would really encourage for the town officer that we hire, that we try to set aside, and I don't think the car needs to be in a spot where people don't see it. I think even if people see it and they know there's gonna be a blue light if they're going too fast. South River Street's one I would like, especially knowing what's coming up, is we sit down there a few nights and certain length of time and see what comes up.
Yeah, the speed trailer is down there now, so we're gonna have a data set off South River. And I think I provided the data set from last year from down there, which really didn't show that much of a problem. And I know there's often a perception of a problem, and certainly this could be problematic with the project coming up, because you'll have so much more traffic diverted down through that area. But then there's a problem too, is if you look at that and you engage in traffic enforcement, especially during the project, I mean, we're gonna have to be very judicious as to where we make those traffic stops.
Yeah.
'Cause again,
You have no
there's no
good
shoulder.
places to pull people
And
over.
yeah, and you stop a vehicle and now you're down to one lane and you're trying to squeeze a high volume of traffic through that area and it's gonna be a big problem.
When you first get on BB Road, the right hand side, they had all a bunch of fill in there. That, you know, that might not be a bad place to have
Right.
pull cars off the road or even trucks.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's gonna pay for it to get it done. You know, who's responsible for the bridges? The village solely responsible, or does the state have a share of that bridge cost too?
I think there was some money, and I don't, because I haven't been involved in all the conversations, but I want to say that there was maybe some money from the state, but it was a substantial cost to the village, and I think it was a much higher cost than what was expected just to do this initial repair to kind of bridge it until when the bridge is completely replaced, is my understanding, which that's going to be a whole nother issue here down the road.
And we're gonna talk about that on the.
Yeah, the
Next-
test, I don't
next
wanna
week,
get
yeah.
into it too much, but, you know, there's this, we gotta look at this as a test case, because if they're gonna do the other project down the road,
Mm-hmm.
we better try to do it right.
It'll be
this
a
time,
much
yeah.
longer period of time.
Yeah.
But I know the village was weighing the impact, over a long period of time versus just shutting the whole thing down for a shorter period of time, trying to get the job done and then get it back opened up.
Yeah, cause you couldn't do one-way traffic on that bridge.
No.
There's way too much traffic.
It would be very difficult,
Yeah.
especially at heavy commuting times of day.
I flagged right there and putting it under
Now,
one.
just one quick comment, I've seen more Swanton Village police cars in the town in the last 2 months than I've seen in the previous 3 years. So apparently you are making an effort to be visible out there, and I think that's a real good thing.
Oh yeah, I mean the guys are out there, and my shift overlaps essentially with the evening shift, and I can tell you those guys aren't sitting in the police department; they're out on the road, so they are out there driving around. And I have emphasized, obviously, traffic enforcement is one of our priorities, and I tell the sergeants like, hey, this is our priority, and then we're going to use this data again to essentially target areas that are problematic. But in the grand scheme of things, I mean, depending on where you are on any given day,
That's right.
every area could be problematic
Right.
to some degree. So it's certainly an issue that we're doing our best to address and are going to continue to address aggressively, especially now that we're in warmer weather and there's a lot more people out and about. Areas like McQuam Shore where you have a lot of pedestrians also.
I've seen an increase in state police also. in the
Good.
town.
That's-
Quite a bit.
that's good.
I've also seen a few DMV police as well.
I have not gone down through this list, on the crime piece, overall fairly low, right?
Yeah, there were 4 arrests, so 2 of those arrests were related to one incident. It was the vandalism spree down on McQuam Shore,
Okay,
where there was quite a bit of damage, high dollar value damage done to recycling bins and mailboxes, also on Route 7. But so those 2 individuals were identified and cited to appear in court. So those were 2 of the arrests, the unlawful mischief, and then I believe there was an arrest on a warrant and then a DUI arrest also.
okay,
Can we ask a question now about something else?
yeah.
We had a mugging in town this last Friday, I guess. Elderly gentleman got beat up and over by the church or something like that. Has the fellow been caught that hit Mr. Royer?
He hasn't been caught, he has been identified, and officers are working at holding him accountable for that. So it was, as in technical legal terms, it was a simple assault, is what occurred. My understanding, it was this past Sunday. He pushed the individual down and then struck him multiple times on his torso. So that it is a problem, and the officers are addressing it. One of the issues is the officer who's handling the case He went on his days off rotation, and he was the officer who immediately after attempting to follow up on that incident was dispatched to this aggravated domestic assault, which occurred at Marble Mill, and then was off the road for an extended period of time dealing with that. So the legal process is extremely cumbersome in the state of
Oh, I
Vermont.
bet, yeah.
It's not very streamlined compared to other states.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
It must be very frustrating for you.
Well, and I think the officers, quite frankly, are frustrated also
Yeah.
because we generally, I mean, certainly in my experience over more than 2 decades in law enforcement, is that we deal with probably, at best, maybe 5% of the population, 95% of the time. And then the problem is they're just repeat offenders over and over and over again. And we always, and I tell my guys, listen, you can only control our stage of the criminal justice process. We try to hold people accountable to the best of our ability. I think the public doesn't realize because they then hear of somebody committing a crime like this and then they see them back out and they don't realize we had nothing to do with it. It's out of our hands. It's a judge who made that decision and released the person on conditions of release to appear in court as they go through that legal process in the court system.
I know other police departments, when they do a press release, they actually have that disclaimer, and it's in bold now. When they're on social media, they'll say, hey, we did our part basically in short terms.
Yeah.
We can't control what the judicial system does after.
But it is frustrating for the officers because there is such a huge amount of work in general, follow-up, investigative work, interviews, collecting evidence, writing reports, writing affidavits, putting a solid case together, and then just to have the person back out and released engaging in the same behavior is very frustrating.
Yeah.
So it's something that, actually I forgot to bring it, so I apologize, it's interesting, I'll have to share it with the select board. VLCT actually just put out a report regarding the state of law enforcement in general in the state of Vermont, and it's a pretty good report. I mean, it really addresses a lot of, hits the highlights of the issues, and will give the select board a really good perspective on where the state is, which is quite frankly pretty concerning in general, with all the issues and how intertwined they are, and how we're going to be able to make progress and maybe get back to a point of more stability.
If you have it electronically, send it to Brian. He can.
I do.
Yeah,
I can forward that
he
to
can
Brian.
forward it to
Yeah,
us. We don't have to
yeah.
wait till a meeting, read it at our leisure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Send it on up, I'll forward it on.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good
for your time.
job.
Swanton Town Health Officer. That's on page 6 and 7.
Have these been resolved on your estimation?
The first one, Lake Champlain Housing is gonna go do an inspection, run it out, and we have not heard any more.
I would say it
Reports.
must be because he was
Right.
calling 4 or 5 times a day
Yeah,
and coming into the
and coming
office.
in, so I believe that's been resolved. 14 for our street, it's still pretty messy back there. Although she was gonna do another inspection Friday evening, so if I think of it when I come in tomorrow morning, I'll just swing into the parking lot and take a look. I can look through the hedge and see it. Again, that's an out-of-town landlord. Is an issue. The Charles Street, I really haven't, apparently it seems that he was burning something. It's unusual, well, I mean, it's okay that the health officer was contacted. That's fine. Usually when it's something being illegal burned, they'll contact the fire department. But that's, I think she explained it to him, and I believe there hasn't been any, I know there's been no fire call over there, so so hopefully that's been taken care of. And, I'm not, that's been didn't know about the sewage on the property. Whether that's been concerned or not, I would say that they probably should check with the village and see if there was a issue with,
Yes, sewer line.
yeah, you know, and, because, but, you know, she's done a pretty good job at doing the report and everything, but, and so the only one that we really don't know for sure would be the 34 Pine Street. But I have not received any other further complaints of that, and we'll see.
Okay. Alright, highway department.
Can I just say one thing?
Yes.
People were struggling with contact with her. She's very responsive via email. If you need to reach out to her.
Okay.
I know people were struggling to get her on the phone and get responses, but she emails right back when I email her.
And that email is on our
It's on her
website
card
as
too,
well?
on the website, yeah.
Very good. Okay, under highway department, unless we have anything else regarding health officer. Quam Shore Road culvert, that is not, real good news there. The patch has been made to the upper portion of one of the bands. So we don't think there's gonna be a problem there. The problem we have is both bands down low, the water is going underneath the culvert. And what we think probably happened is the water went underneath that culvert after it was installed and washed away enough material that it dropped down farther. There was some ledge there. It's not gonna go very far, but what we haven't got yet is an answer, working with Tyler from East Engineering and the contractor, is how best to seal up those two bands. Unfortunately, the bands that came with that culvert didn't have like a foam piece, and that probably would have helped, but I also think the way one of them opened up, that the thing settled a bit, and so it's something we have to deal with. The good news is we can do something, but we just don't have that answer yet, so when we do have an answer, we'll let you know. Swanton Hill update, it was approved at the previous meeting to go with East Engineering to start the design, contingent upon meeting with the other landowners. We had that meeting a week ago Friday, and they are willing to work with us. So I would like to either have Brian or I sign that contract. If everybody's good with it, I just wanna mention it. We did approve that at the last meeting, but we didn't say someone who signed it, but we'll sign that tonight and get it to East Engineering to get them working. I did talk with Tyler. We are gonna take a look whether we can just lower the existing road or whether it's better to go straight. Cause after talking with him, he said there are some reasons why we may stay with the existing curve and maybe just take a little bit of that ledge out so we can get traffic through while this is being done. So we will look at the two options and we'll report back to the board before he goes to design it all.
Okay, so they met with the property owners affected by this, and
They're willing to work with us. We didn't sign any letter of agreement or anything, but the heads were nodding that it's something that should get done. I think the ones that have the biggest impact, they like the idea of staying with the existing road and just dropping it, blasting there and dropping it, but they even will consider the others. So once we get Tyler engaged and get some more data, we'll sit down with them and come up with a plan and share it with everybody. He'll design it and we'll move forward. Might have to have a wetland permit, so we'll see how that goes. It may take a while. Brooklyn Street, met with the wetland coordinator a couple weeks ago. She got back to me a few days later. We have to do what's called a general permit, wetland permit, and it's really something that's probably out of my level to do. So I've asked Tyler of East Engineering to give us a proposal to prepare a wetland permit, and we also need a little bit of surveying in there to actually define the boundaries, because there's two properties that are going to be affected during the putting the culvert in and then putting the ditch in there. But that general wetland permit, Tyler said you can plan on months. it could very well, Brooklyn may not get done till very late in this year, if then. We'll do the work, once we get the permit, we'll do the work, but unfortunately, that's what we gotta do. We're right on the edge, and we're gonna affect part of the buffer, and
You have a design for that already?
it's not really
Just
difficult design, it's just going out and level and figuring out what to set the inverts of the culvert and then the ditch, and yeah, there won't be any design work for Tyler per se, it's really just to get the general wetland permit and then the property boundaries marked. Yeah, so the rest of it we can do.
Well, I move that we approve it.
I don't have Tyler's
Oh,
proposal yet.
You don't have it,
Otherwise,
okay.
yeah, it'd probably take him. Talked to him on Friday, and I hadn't seen it yet today. So once I have that, I'll let people know.
if it takes the state that long to get it back, I guess it better not take too long to get it in.
That depends on Tyler's workload. Okay, I added line striping. Kevin has been working diligently for several weeks trying to get a couple contracts pricing for line striping. So far, he's received just one. L&D is the big boy who does the state roads and everything. Kevin has left several messages. I called and left a message, and they haven't called back. This local contractor, 22 cents a foot. And that is, a couple years ago, we paid 20 cents a foot. I think the price is reasonable. We're still gonna strive to get another quote, but I would like the board's permission, so we don't wait 2 full weeks, to go no more than 22 cents a foot. And we have $12,000 budgeted, and we go ahead and get a contract going. If we try it for another 3-4 days and we don't get somebody to give us another price, that's
How
what.
many miles would that be? 20, I'm just curious.
No, I know, it's a good question, I've got a sheet of what streets we would be looking at, but, L&D in 2019 charged, 20 cents per linear foot, so that was 5 years ago, so it's only up 10%. Yeah, he didn't have the mileage there, but I can tell you real quick, 5280 is the one number.
I'm just curious, is it, how much does it get us before they turn the paint off, you know?
Times 0.22. Okay, so that's not right. Yeah, it's 5280 times 16. So that's each mile is 1,161. So it's almost 12. So I mean it'd be about 10 miles, right?
Yep, that's what I have.
That's town property, not state property.
Right. And then the state will do the class 2 roads, like Woods Hill Road, South River, and Kevin's trying to talk to the state. It's like, let's get South River striped
Yeah.
before the big event.
Yep.
You know? And so we're working that piece of it. We're gonna get a little over 10 miles done. So if I could get someone to, a motion to.
Yeah, I'll move that we'll authorize the chair to sign a contract for up to 22 cents foot for line striping on our town roads.
Cody seconded. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Real quick, down on McQuon Shore Road, an individual built a mound very close to the road. And I'm sure the mound was all installed outside of our right of way, but they have since stacked blocks all the way around the mound, filled material all over the mound, and now they've seeded it. And some of them blocks, these are these big heavy retaining wall blocks, are in our right of way. There is some question on the Quam Shore whether it's a 66 foot or 50 foot right of way. The way the pins are at my house, on the other side of the road done by a different surveyor, that's all set up for 50 feet. But our one little cheat sheet we have says 66. As a minimum, I don't really think we need to get a surveyor involved, but I would like to see that wall 25 feet from the center line cut off, because that is a hazard if someone goes off that road. And the other thing, in talking with the individual when we get ready to do that, is I am quite sure that new septic system has a permit on file here, which we could find. You're not supposed to bury them like that. The air's supposed to get to them.
Well, it would fail,
What's that?
it will fail
Yeah, I mean, so
eventually.
I think the zoning administrator should take a look, because there is still an active permit, I think, on all the construction on the house and everything.
Who enforces wastewater permits?
State.
State does.
State will
And I don't really wanna chase that part of it, but I just wanna let the landowner know, you've got an issue with the right of way, and if we get a lot of pushback, you may also have a problem with your mound. I don't think it's gonna go over very good, cause it's a pretty substantial little project there,
Yes,
but,
it is.
but that thing should be, you should remove a couple blocks and get that a minimum of 25 feet out of the center line of the road. We have so many other trees and things, whether it's the 25 feet or 33, I think the 25, then it becomes a much safer situation. I really don't wanna pay a surveyor, but I wanted,
So
that's my thoughts on it.
he can put it 25 feet from the center of the road, right at 25 feet, there's no setback.
That wall, that's a zoning question. Whether, I don't know how strict fences and things and walls are.
Yeah.
Well, a fence is, if it's 6 feet or less, you don't need even a permit.
Right.
6 feet high.
But see, a retaining wall is, to me, is a
The retaining
structure.
wall is different, I would think.
Yeah, to me, it's a structure, and I think structure might have a setback requirement too. But I think it's time to, I know I mentioned Amy a little bit about it, but I think it's time for her to take a look, because again, they just put the hay down and water in it tonight, and this, it's not right.
Right.
Sooner we let them know.
I'll give you an example, I wanted to put a decorative stone thing around the mound system we had,
Yeah.
and just maybe go in a foot or two for appearances. I called an engineer, and he said, no, you have to get a whole new permit, don't touch it, so obviously we did, they're pretty strict.
Pretty strict, and
And they should be.
And to get those, yeah, and to get those permits, you have to file them.
Yep.
Right in here, so when you go to sell your place, they take a look, and has all the conditions of the permit been met, and that's a separate issue, not for us to chase, but.
Well, I don't know, I mean, if you wanna send Amy down there, that's what she's probably gonna give her the most leverage in it. If it's a real issue for the septic itself, then the state should be aware of it.
Yeah.
Instead of catching our
Well,
person
it's-
right in the middle of a,
I would assume that somewhere it says, when it's brought to the zoning administrator's attention, that we're probably obligated to inform the state there's a potential.
yeah, that would be the avenue that would be better than having
She
her
could go
have to
down-
go there.
Well,
She
she
can
could go
drive
down
by
and
and
take a
see
look,
it,
but
but
then,
Well, the wastewater permit is given on a design, and
Yeah.
if the design's
and
not
the design
followed, then
is
it's,
not followed.
Well, they're
That's
parking
the issue.
vehicles up there too.
I know, it's
Yeah.
crazy, absolutely crazy.
now, maybe he did file an amended state permit.
He may have, but
Then you ain't got no ground other than the right of way.
Other than
Or if it's a structure, then, but his mound's already there, so, you know, we can, I mean, you can take a.
well, no,
structure-
I don't,
Yeah.
the mound I'm sure was built.
Yeah.
The way, you know, and I'm not worried about that piece, it's these large concrete blocks that are in our right of way.
But that mound must've been really close to the road, I don't travel that road very much, so.
It's pretty close to the edge of his property, but then these blocks extend farther, he just made a nice gentle incline up there where he can park vehicles and. Yeah. So I wanted to bring that up because I think it could probably get a little bit ugly. But it needs to be addressed, I think. Everyone's good with, Brian talking with Amy, and I'll be available for any conversation. Okay,
just, Mr. Chair, before we, leave highway, Swanton Hill update, you were looking for, somebody didn't have authority to sign something with Tyler.
we approved it, so I,
Yeah, but nobody was mentioned who, so.
yeah, I guess we can have a motion to have Brian sign this.
Sure, I'll make the motion.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Motion been made and second to have Brian sign for the East Engineering contract for Swanton Hill Road. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved.
Thank you. Done tomorrow.
Okay, old business, Robert's Rules of Order.
I've included in your packet an excerpt from the Robert's Rules of Order online edition. And this came back to the meeting, our last meeting, when we had a question about quorum and as far as taking a vote. And if you go down to where it's paragraph 64, the number that must be present goes by the total number on the board, not who's gonna vote. So that first night, we had a quorum, and so you had 3 people here, so 2 people could have voted, and the vote would have been legal. So just for future, no, we don't need to, unless we had it otherwise, and I looked through all the records, that a quorum is the majority of the board, so it's free. So
I think that's pretty straightforward then, if we run into this next time.
Yeah. Be good.
That's what the Robert rule.
Yep.
And that's what we adopt, so.
Yep.
I think we're good there. Thank you for looking at
Okay.
that.
That was easy.
Letter to V-Trans.
Yeah, there
Brian
is,
sent that out today.
I sent that out to everybody, this is just a draft, but, pretty straightforward. They did, say that it probably is too late to get on the June agenda for the safety committee, but they would get it on to the September committee, meeting. Safety committee is the agency of the Secretary of Transportation, the Public Safety Commissioner, and the Commissioner of Motor Vehicles, and they sit down and meet and they weigh all this out, and we'll be notified of when that meeting is. I'm not sure if we have to give testimony or not, I don't know that, but it would probably be September 11th.
Yeah, if we need to, we will, a couple of us will go down there and,
Oh, probably.
Express our yeah, that too.
That's the way they work, yeah.
Okay.
I think it's still important to include some of the concerns that the residents have for children getting on the bus there. You know, just besides the speed limit, I think that, you know, they may not realize that that's an issue, that people are concerned about that, the state AOT.
Well, this, I mean, I can add that in there. This person that this letter is going to is the same person that I requested the speed study from to begin with, and to place those traffic signs, those school bus stop signs, so they're aware of that concern, but we can add it.
I think it should be added in there just for a matter of record. It isn't like we drop that concern because
That's
we're
right.
still very concerned
So,
about it.
yeah.
I very much agree with that.
So if we add that, everyone good with me signing that and sending it on its way?
Absolutely.
If
with
we
the
add the school, yeah, with an adjustment regarding,
Yeah.
one of the concerns we're not constantly, but one of our concerns from our constituents is the,
Safety of school
safety
bus
of,
stops.
of children getting onto the school
And
bus.
specify that stop, just so it's specified again. I know they've got it on record there.
Yeah.
Whatever that street is,
Well,
207.
there's two.
I don't think we need a motion for
Okay,
that,
yeah.
if people are head nodded, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian will make the adjustment and I'll sign it when he tells me, when he sends it to me. Okay, rec building project modification, a little while ago, we authorized up to 20,000 for upgrades to the rec facility. So far,
That's the blue building over
the blue
on-
building, yeah, on Jewett Street. Part of it's installed drainage and the highway crew will be doing that. Just, it's probably gonna be something later in the summer. Getting ready for road paving and everything else is a higher priority. Vinyl siding and 2 windows, still gonna work on that, doing it by volunteer. Inside the garage, things have changed a bit. Instead of putting a wall in, one of the things, and you had even mentioned it, was getting a Connex box.
Sure.
So what we're looking for approval, because it wasn't on the sheet I passed around when we approved up to 20,000. The other thing in what is the garage area, instead of putting down a flooring, like a laminate flooring, is just to stain the concrete, and that gives flexibility to use it for the kids and then also for equipment when times of years when you need to store stuff there. So the cost is that's a couple gallons of paint versus the 6,700 we talked about that night. And what we would like to do is Connex box. I don't know if they're on 4 or 5,000, depending on the size.
The one that we had priced out was a 40-foot container to buy for $3,900, and that's coming from a company in Fairfax.
We own it?
We own it.
Where would we put it, Nicole?
So I can pass this
That's
down.
okay, just tell me,
In the lower parking lot. This actually gives you, it's a silver line, so if you want to go ahead and take a look.
that's good.
Down basically by the basketball court and the other buildings
I
down
know
there.
guys, I'll
Yeah.
call them together.
That'd be great.
And you got 39?
That's what makes it.
That's what we had is 39 on me.
Got my
That's
answer.
40 by 20.
No, it's 40 by 8, I believe.
Oh, 40 by 8, that's what that's good.
When
So
you-
that would be within the 20,000.
I believe
So
so, yeah.
just
You don't know.
would like a motion that's, or an approval for that piece.
There might be added
I'll second.
fees.
Yeah, try to get it all call, see.
So Steve has made the motion, Cody seconded to authorize using part of that 20,000 to buy the Connex box instead. Motion made, seconded, any further discussion?
Was there,
Can I amend his motion, and that's, we're agreeing to do it because we're not gonna buy flooring. So, I mean,
Correct, we're gonna paint the floor,
that's
but we're
right.
not gonna put it in
Should
like
be-
a.
Should be noted, I think.
and was there a amount that we could buy it for? Was it the 3,900 or was it up to?
We just were leaving it within this 20,000, depending on, after you get your approval for siting and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get some prices, I just told Nicole that I do know somebody that does sell them. Maybe, I don't know what his prices are, but I could just call and
Yeah.
ask. And also, she didn't state whether that was delivered or not. And then is there gonna be any site work involved? Probably be a little bit, probably should put some stone there to get it off, but
Oh, the stone's nearby.
Our team is very confident in
Yeah.
taking care of that, so
Yeah.
the proposed
Yeah, you
location.
don't have to go very far to get the stones either.
Yeah.
Right, so that proposed location is really rock underneath the
Yeah.
soil. We've had a horrible time trying to grow grass back
I
there.
called out a midnight acquisition.
A little bit of blocking to hold that up,
Yeah.
it should be good in that area.
Yeah.
If we need some stone, we can deliver some down there with the
But
highway, and then you guys.
It'll have to be delivered and set in place, so I don't know if that includes our 3,900, she's not sure either.
I'm not sure, cause
So we're gonna find out about that.
Well,
athletic director.
We had
As long as
60,
it remains within the 20,000, you're okay, you can negotiate that.
yeah, I mean, if it came back at 8, I'd come back to the board, but if it's within 4,000, a couple hundred either way,
Yeah,
then,
that ain't a big deal.
and we're under the flooring cost.
Yeah.
Okay, so it was amended to, that it's in lieu of the flooring, other than the paint for the flooring. Any other discussion? All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
I abstain.
Opposed, so moved.
Oh, when you're looking for a work crew, can you give us some notice?
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll try to set a date and make it a weekend project, and I think we could get a lot of siding done on a weekend,
Yeah,
and make it a good event.
Sure. Right there.
New town business. And I do not see the,
Not here, and I didn't hear from her, so.
okay, we're gonna move on to community and economic development, promote Swanton.
Okay, I've been in conversation several times with Nicole, and Nicole's been in conversation with some other people that are very important to this whole thing. And we don't have really an awful lot to report tonight. We're still trying to set up a meeting with some of these key players. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Nicole because she knows the details.
So, Darcy Benoit, working through the Economic Development Task Force for the Swanton Enhancement Project, had started to put together a plan for promoting the downtown businesses. I did have a brief conversation with her. She's very worried about, starting this now with the bridge closure, not knowing what to expect during that time. I do have a meeting set up with Adam Paxman. in regards to the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow, just to kind of get his feelings. But I've also had Trustee Kelleher reach out about wanting to participate in the conversation of promoting Swanton, as well as Chief Gagne with the Abenaki. So we're going to set up a time to meet and really discuss what promoting Swanton looks like moving forward. And that's not just the downtown business, that's all of the assets that we have, is what the commonality that everybody has really expressed interest in, and just promoting our community as a whole.
Yes, and the thing is, there's a lot of different things going on, but they're not coordinated.
Yeah.
And that's what, what Nicole's been, talking to these people, and that's what she tells me, that's what I see. So I think, if we can get everybody to work together, we can move forward.
So what I think we talked about last meeting, and we're not there yet, is you're gonna have some of these other meetings, informal meetings and stuff, and come up with a proposal that we were talking about getting a joint meeting at some point, but we're not ready to do that.
No,
Right.
no, not on the 10th.
Yep.
The 10th, you wanna stick with the bridge anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I do think it's something that we should, have continuous conversation about, as it's something that we all, as one whole community, it's a very important thing.
Okay, Susie?
So I've been gathering a list of businesses that I've been kind of shouting out on social media. So I do have a running list of Swanton Village and Town businesses that I'm gathering and kind of sorting by, is it hairdressing, is it auto parts, that kind of thing, which I'd be happy to share with the board. And then I believe when you were talking in one of your past meetings about the rail trail area and having a board there with list of businesses. There's something very similar, I believe it's in Cambridge, that might be worth going to look at to see how Cambridge has their LVRT stop with their local businesses and how far it is from where they are at present as they're standing in front of that board. Might be something to look at.
Yes, and as part of, we're getting a very large kiosk, which one side of it, the state pretty much says this is what goes on this side. We're supposed to be able to use the back side, and that's
Yes.
probably what you see up in Cambridge.
Cambridge, yeah.
But I think what's important is, maybe if I get this wrong, let me know, is these businesses is one thing, but we're trying to promote things like the refuge,
Yes.
the Abenaki culture.
Abenaki.
Historical,
The library, the historical
the train
society.
people.
Yeah.
Right, how do we promote all of that? Yes.
And I've been working with Heather Lavoie to discuss like what kind of things that they have that the historical society has that's putting out. So they're going to be, I don't want to move ahead, but they are going to be in the park during our block party, and we're gonna we've asked the Abenaki to join us. We've asked Agewell to join us. Just community partners, SEP, SAC, to join us in the park so that they can promote themselves to the people who come to the block party.
Right, and that's a good segue if we're all done with the promote Swanton piece until we get the next update. Is the block party is the next one on the update, and you mentioned all these different things, and before I forget it, I mentioned to the Army National Guard about the block party and told them to reach out, but I would recommend keeping them in the loop because they're part of this community, and anyway.
I
think
have
it'll-
filled out so many DD do something or others to request their presence. We do have them coming actually for a patriotic celebration on the 3rd, which I was gonna do during the events.
All right, well, Swanton Block Party is the discussion now.
Can I just say one other thing before we get to that?
Yes,
I think what you're doing is really, really important, because when we start shutting down the village, and we're gonna do that with that bridge repair, it's gonna be an economic hardship to a lot of our businesses. And during your conversations, if you can try to see if there's any financial relief that might be out there for the folks that are gonna be affected, whether it helps them pay their rent during this period or something. Because you take all the traffic that comes up through here, a fair percentage of it stops. That's done. That's gonna be a real economic hardship.
and a lot of our business owners are very, very worried. I mean, I
Yeah,
went
rightfully
down
so.
Merchants Row today and some of their concerns, I think, are very,
During the busiest time of year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost gonna strangle our efforts for success down here, and they've done such a great job, so if you happen to stumble on something like that, if there's some financial compensation we can provide that, as small as it might seem to us, pretty important to them.
so I mean, I guess that does lead into the Swanton block party. You know, one of the things that you weren't at the last meeting that I brought up in conversation was bringing back the Downtown Bucks program, and that's a way for us to celebrate the entire community and support those local businesses during that time. And Susie has this great proposal that's got a little bit of that in there, and then we can talk about
Okay, good,
that.
thanks.
So, you all should have it, but, so this event, the block party, is to bring our community together to support, our local businesses during the ongoing bridge construction. So the date is July, 26th from 5 to 8, with a rain date of August 9th, and we're going to be in the village square and in the village green park. So we will have, blocked off the square, by Merchants Row and in front of Gordon Winter's a driveway into or parking lot into Ace Hardware. That's
If anybody'd like to see a visual.
yeah, and that's going to be blocked off by Dean and his guys. So the reason we're doing this is to encourage community engagement, draw residents and visitors into our downtown area, and to support the local businesses by increasing foot traffic during a period of construction. So the committee is myself, Darcy Benoit, Abigail Gutta, and Nicole. And we're gonna have live music. We have Secondhand Blues featuring John McDonald, who is a local Swan resident, his wife Jenny, and Troy Turner. They're gonna set up on the sidewalk in front of the Chamber of Commerce. Originally, we had planned to have them in the grass area, but John said that the sidewalk would be better for him and the band, so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have crafts by the library, the band is gonna be paid for by the Arts Council. We're gonna have, face painting also done by the Arts Council, crafts from the library, community partners, with booths in the park, and we're also going to have, I'm not quite sure if it's gonna be Star Hose running it or the Ladies Auxiliary, but they're gonna have a lemonade stand. And that is going to be at cost, the lemonade stand, so you're gonna pay for the lemonade because it's gonna raise money for Star Hose or the Ladies Auxiliary. And what they do, the money, is they put on that free Memorial Day barbecue in the park after the parade, so it helps to offset that cost. Lawn games from the rec using resources that they already have. We're requesting a bounce house, and I've requested the funds from SEP, but I'm here tonight to request a backup just in case. And then, so what we're hoping is that the businesses will extend their hours and offer some specials to the crowd. And the Chamber of Commerce is gonna be open for a cooling station. And we're gonna have porta potties on site because the car show is that weekend, so that's a cost saving. So my request to you guys tonight is to purchase 2 banners. And this is a high price, I actually do not need this much anymore. The banners are $120 a piece with no art, just words. So I would need $240 for the banners, not the $650. And then possible funding for the bounce house if it's not covered by SEP, not to exceed $350. And then the Downtown Bucks, which it's a little card that is issued to people that what I want to do is not to exceed $1,000. First 100 people get them, they're worth $10 a piece. That will drive people into our businesses. They can use that $10 on the card, and then we would collect the cards at the end and pay the businesses that money. And So I'm hoping that you guys will approve, the banner and the downtown bucks and approve of being a backup to the bounce house if Seth doesn't approve that tonight.
So how much is this altogether, Susan?
So 240, 590, 1590.
How much?
1590.
And that's
Is the
the
village
downtown.
putting in any
Yeah.
money?
And so we are not currently, but there's 5,000 set aside for community celebration
celebration.
in your
General
budget, and
fund.
so that's
General
what I'm asking the money.
Yeah, I think the way it was worded to me when I heard about this is basically it's the general fund which everybody pays for, everybody in
Yeah.
Swanton pays for. If we take it out of that 5,000.
Yeah.
So everybody in Swanton, as part of their taxes, would be contributing. Cause it's, if we use that particular pot.
Yeah.
And it
Well-
could be down to 1240 if Seth throws in the 350.
The other way I look at
And also, if you decide not to approve the banners, that has been approved by the village trustees. Myself, I abstained, but trustee Paxman and trustee LeBombard did approve that. So there is not a lot of pressure to approve that if you decide not to.
well, I think the village will have places to spend money too, that I'm not worried about. I think it's appropriate comes out of that, this is a Swanton event,
Yeah.
you know, it's to bring the people of Swanton together, and that includes town and village residents,
Right.
it's not
It's
just
everybody.
the
Yeah.
village, you know? And we gotta start looking at that way if we want to promote Swanton.
Exactly.
Looking for like up to?
I don't, tonight I would recommend we hold off on the bouncy house. Cause there'll be time,
There'll be
you
time
should
if
hear back from Sep, they're not meeting until September, but through email that could get approved.
Exactly.
So that answer could come and we could handle that next meeting if we
So
needed to.
I'm really looking at 1240 tonight.
That'll give the village a chance to step forward if they want to.
I guess I'm for this coming out of that general fund where everybody and promoting it that way.
Yeah.
I'll make that motion. I
Okay,
think I can make that. I can't?
I don't think so, can they?
That's all right.
But I'll move that we appropriate the funding from that, line item for town, what do they call
Town
General
celebration.
budget.
it? Town celebration general budget, for the amount of now, you want
1240.
1240, and that'll cover the banners and the
And the downtown bucks.
bucks.
downtown fund,
I'll
yeah.
second that.
Would it be safe just to say 1,500, that way we don't have to worry about it later?
Up to 1,500
Yeah.
with receipt?
Yeah, and that would cover the bouncy thing,
That would, yes, if it,
okay, alright, then I'll put it 1,500, okay, I'll move.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor state aye.
Aye.
I guess the one thing
Thank you.
under discussion I was gonna ask is how do you hand those cards out, the money out?
so my thought process, and Nicole we were going to put a booth in the park, and we'd be directing people to go there to get them. First 100 people would get a downtown buck card to go and spend for $10 at one of our local businesses. We also need to ask the businesses if they would accept them. We've had them accept them in the past, and we know Darcy's gonna accept them. So it's just a matter of like working with Nate and Jess, because there are new businesses, would they accept them, and having that dialogue. So that is something that Darcy is doing for us.
They get reimbursed if they accept the $10 card?
They will get reimbursed,
Okay.
yes. What we'll do is we'll collect the cards from each of the businesses, notate what business it was, and then reimburse them the money that they took for the card.
Yeah, we had something similar during COVID and Sep handled all that. Okay, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Alright, let me get back here. Alright. Any other necessary business, 22? We'll let Brian start that one.
Good? Yep.
As we all know, Memorial Day is come and gone. The Saturday before Memorial Day, the flags were put up in the park. It went very smooth this year going up, very fast. We had the girls varsity softball team here from MVU, and
They worked really well.
And they
Those
worked
ki- those
really
ladies
well.
did a good job.
They certainly did. And then the takedown was this past Saturday. Again, we had volunteers. The girls' team was not available, but we got it all done fairly quickly, and the flags put away until Veterans Day. Now, we've had a waiting list going for some time as to if ever there was a case of, or a time when we decided to increase the number of flags. I'm up now to 31 flags that people would like to get. And if we advertise that once we give this approval, you can go ahead and do this. We'll advertise it on the website that they're available, put it on the sign. I'm sure we'll get probably at least 20 more. Hard to say, but I think that we probably would, given the interest that certainly is out there. Now, I did price the same setup that we've got now. It's a 9-foot white spinning pole and a 3x5 signature flag, which isn't the most expensive flag, but it's not the cheapest neither, but it's the sewn stars and the sewn stripes, good quality. The price now is up to $122.48 each. I think when this started it was $75. I'm not sure.
That's what I think I paid, yeah.
But, like anything and everything has gone up. And I've had a conversation with Joel, and the flags that we got are all in pretty good shape. However, there may be a slight tear or something on them, and over the years that's going to increase, and then they need to be replaced. So probably going forward, we should concentrate on trying to also build up a fund to have it, so if we have to replace flags. So I suggested here maybe for a total price of $150 each, and that would be, and I would hope that we would be able, once we place the order, we'd be able to negotiate a little bit better rate. This is the only company, there's only one company that sells this setup that I've found so far. I'll keep looking. So what I'm just looking for is tonight what your feelings are. It may be too soon to get these in place and everything done because we have to kind of scope out the park and see where we're going to put these. And by the time we get done with the solicitation and the orders, but probably shoot for next Memorial Day. They would be installed next Memorial Day. If we can do it sooner, fine, but I'm generally thinking probably next Memorial Day.
Who determines where they go in the park?
Well, we just have to take a look. We know the general area where they are, and we just have to measure that to see if it'll take another row or two. There's 25 to a row.
25.
So if we figure 2 rows.
50.
Adam's kind of a kingpin on this
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah.
He's there. He and I
Yeah.
went in Friday night and marked all the spots, and
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
quite sure they wouldn't have any
and
problem.
assuming that we can get help like we did.
Speaking of that though, can we, if you're seeing these young ladies, I mean, they put us to shame. It usually takes 3 hours to get the whole thing done. Don't we figure an hour and
Less than
20
that.
minutes?
Yeah.
It was amazing.
They're a great group of ladies, for sure.
Can we send a letter
Yep.
to the principal signed by our board chair, thanking them and acknowledging,
Tell them
they worked hard.
we expect them back too.
Well,
Yeah.
Matt Walker was in the other day, and Matt's the varsity boys basketball coach. I said, well, you know what the girls softball coach did. So come November, you got your guys, maybe we can. So well, give me a call. I'll definitely get a letter out, so that's. I'm just looking for guidance here, so we can see what we can do, and we'll start the advertising and,
Yeah, I think,
I'll do more shopping and we'll figure out where the flags are gonna go.
as long as you can get the flags in there and everybody's happy with the location, then, I don't see a problem with it doing it. Hope you don't get 300 or 400 requests.
Well,
Well,
you gotta draw a limit at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
Because of the
Right.
manpower and
Right.
replacement.
and the replacement.
You're talking, this could go up to 175 then?
Probably, yeah, 175 to, probably 200. I got
For what?
31 now.
Well, that's why
They get it.
somewhere we gotta just, we could put 2,000 in that part,
Oh,
but
I know, but.
we gotta say, at some point we stop, because at $50 a pop, used to be able to do this stuff in my head, not anymore, so let's
Well,
just say it's 175, that's $8,000 to replace.
Yeah,
We're only getting an extra $30
Yeah.
for 50 of them. That's $1,500. That's 30 flags. And they're gonna last several more years, but
right.
they're
But
gonna
they
have to
all
start replacing
going
them.
at the same time.
Did
Yeah.
we ever talk about doing something over at Flower Island Park or the Veterans Park? Those flags, didn't that come up at one time?
That I don't know.
That was suggested if we
Yeah.
weren't able to use the park, we'd put some over
Okay.
there, but, it's, that's.
That one,
That's the tough one.
yeah. I tell you what would make Veterans Park look a lot better is 2 white fiberglass posts instead of those 2 metal silver ones. That would bring out the flags better. It'd look
Oh,
a
I
lot better.
agree, yeah.
And they did at least, we'll get a lot more flowers planted there this year. VFW took that on as a project to dig out more of the beds, and we installed lights. But I think the flags probably in the main park is, maybe do some other,
Yeah.
consider other things up
I'm
there.
sure all of you go by and see I don't think there was a time that I went by there wasn't somebody out there taking pictures or looking for their parents or their
Right.
uncle or whatever, in the park. with the
Right.
flags. I mean,
And the drone video that was put on that community page was just unbelievable, pictures of it. I could see maybe going up to 175, and that's 2 more rows, and I think you could almost get those in right where we laid that
2
out.
more rows would be 50.
50, it's 125 now, right? No, we're at
150.
150. I'd get us, okay, so I'd get us to the 200.
200.
Okay. so
How do
I
you get
don't
a
know.
new sign?
And we'll have to do a new sign. Well, the sign that we got wet in there, and so we'd have to do that as well.
Yeah, that's just a sheet of paper that can be
And,
redone.
then, of
I
course, the
shouldn't say
cards
just a
have to
sheet,
be
but-
done. I think David will do the cards for us, because he's got that in his computer. So that's why I say there's all that to be done, so that's why I'm looking more toward Memorial Day than Veterans Day.
And if we get the large groups, unfortunately taking it down wasn't that large a group, but it went very quick.
So, but,
But if we got a team to do it again, 200 would go up very quick as long as things were pre-marked again, because
Right.
to drill those holes was very
Right.
quick.
We had a couple of veterans that were in their 80s
Yeah.
that came forward to help.
The average age was pretty high on Saturday taking it down.
We brought it out.
Different on the day the softball day, but
in the years it's been out, it was the first year it was here, we had to replace one flag because unfortunately one was stolen. So we replaced it.
we've been very fortunate that it hasn't been vandalized
Very
at
well,
all.
very much.
Do we, I'm okay with going up to 200.
Okay.
I think it's a wonderful display. It
Yeah.
makes our community
Yeah.
phenomenal.
I do too, but I guess my thought right now, what I'm thinking is, just can't keep going more and more.
No, but we do have to limit it.
So what would be, if we can't do flags, what else could we do, that would address future needs, future veterans?
In many different communities, I know throughout New York, and I've started seeing them pop up in New York, they have actual recognition hanging from utility poles.
Yeah, I see
Um,
that, yeah.
The picture,
It's big over in New York,
it's,
all the
it's
little towns.
very,
have
very
it.
large over
Very,
there.
very cool.
And I've had a few community members ask me if that was something that's possible, and I've talked about it over time with a few different people. I think that could be a very nice display as well. Maybe for some folks that move up from the flags to move up to the utility poles, but that would be a coordinated effort, I think, between the town and the village.
Yeah, I wonder
Yeah.
how
That's a
the
wonderful idea.
towns in New York pick the people that go on the poll. But, you know, it'd be worth finding that out.
I got a feeling is they just make it available, and if you're willing to
Purchase
put
it.
the money
Right,
up, you
right.
can do it.
Oh, I see.
Do it for your
Okay,
family
okay, they do-
members.
oh, okay, so
I
that-
bet
you think
I bet it's
the same
just
thing
like the
with
flags. I
yeah.
bet they just put out, we wanna do this,
Yeah.
and then the relatives come out and say, I wanna do one, and get a picture
Rouse's
of mom or
Point,
dad.
those
Oh, yeah.
Rouse's
Yeah,
Point
there's
has
a
them.
ton
Oh, yeah.
of small towns.
all over there. I know, I've seen them
Yeah.
around the place, but
Yeah.
I think, yeah, we can call Rouse's Point and see who's
And
sponsored.
shady.
So,
Yeah.
back,
You know, so,
back to this, do we wanna do a motion up to 200 at 150 for each of the new ones, or not?
you wanna make a motion for $200 for each new one, limit of 50 right now?
150 per,
No, $200 for the thing, but a limit of 50 total new flags.
Okay, it was a
Setups, you mean?
Yeah.
yeah, but I think 150 would get us,
Yeah.
especially if we can bulk buy them and get it, cause this is, right now it's 122.
Yeah.
So that would get us
So the price would
25
be
to $30,
150.
right?
So you wanna leave, I thought you wanted more, but if you wanna leave at 150, that's fine.
No, the 200 I was saying was 200 total flags, not.
Oh,
not cost.
okay,
Yes.
additional 50 will give
Right,
us 200.
yes.
So you want, alright, but yeah, I understand now.
I'll second.
Yep.
I absolutely
Motion's been
support
made
that.
and seconded to increase the number of flags in the park for Memorial Day and Veterans Day to 50 additional to up to 200 at the cost of 150 each, and that'd be coordinated through Brian
With the target date of Memorial Day 2024.
for the new ones.
No, yeah.
Okay. Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor state aye.
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 Opposed? So moved. Alright,
Okay.
now we're down to letter.
Letter, this is the draft letter. Joel comprised the letter, I tweaked it. That will go out to the Swanton residents and property owners along the detour route. And we noticed that Nicole's name is spelled out here, so we'll fix
Oh,
that.
thank you. And so is Cody's.
Yep.
Yep.
there is.
It is, yep. So I didn't.
Yeah, if we get that corrected, we can sign that tonight.
Yeah. So if you wanna just wait a minute, I can go correct that.
We can make a motion to approve the letter.
Yeah.
And, well, you're doing it.
Okay.
Entertain a motion to approve the letter.
I'll
Gordon
move,
moved.
I'll move that we approve the letter as drafted to the residents of, South River Street and Beebe Road about the upcoming bridge closure.
Motion been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. I'm chuckling every time. You gotta ask Brian after the meeting what term he used when he corrected my letter. It was very funny, but I just don't wanna state that.
No, you're correct. It's in moment.
Yeah, it was minor, but it's pretty funny the way he said it. Alright, so he's doing that real quick. He's gonna talk to FEMA flood buyout.
Yep.
Do you know if he has any correspondence,
Not
Christine?
that I'm aware of, but I was not in the office most of the day today.
Alright, under public comment, do we have any other
I do wanna
public
mention
comment?
one thing.
Yes,
Thank you for, well, thanks you to Swanton Rec for the collaboration for the powwow. Anybody else who came and visited, I think I saw.
1,400 people.
Yes,
It was a wonderful, wonderful time.
yeah, the first day, I think they counted like 1,150.
Mhm.
That just blew us away. To be honest with you, I can't tell you how many planning committee meetings I sat in on the Sundays, and we were anticipating 400 maybe for the whole weekend. And we got bombarded with 1,150 the first day. We just didn't know what to do. Like, this is crazy. Yeah, it was a very good turnout, no issues, no hiccups, I didn't think. Well, your internal ones, but then other than that, it was,
Except that
Nice.
sod.
yeah, wow,
I'm just
was
kidding.
it bad?
Oh,
Oh,
Weather cooperated.
it was gorgeous, yeah, absolutely gorgeous.
Alright, so keep things moving, why don't we go over upcoming events?
ooh, hey, that's me. Upcoming events, the Planning Commission will meet Wednesday, June 5th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. here at the town office. MVSD budget conversation will be Saturday, June 8th, 2024, at 8:30 a.m. at the Swanton School Central Building Library. I really encourage anybody who has questions or just doesn't quite understand to go to that meeting. The Planning Commission will meet Wednesday, June 12th, 2024, 6:30 p.m. here at the town offices. There will be a special select board meeting Monday, June 1st,
June 17th, yeah,
June
that's,
17th. Good thing I have you all. June 17th, 2024, 6 p.m. here at the town offices. The school budget vote will be Tuesday, June 18th, 2024. Polls open at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. and that's at the Village Municipal Complex. There will be the Juneteenth holiday, Wednesday, June 19th, 2024. Town office and operations will be closed, but please visit for the park for community family nights hosted by Swanton Rec and Swanton Public Library. That will be from 5 to 7:30. The DRB is meeting Thursday, June 27th, 2024 at 6 p.m. here at the town offices. And one addition I have is the 40th Army Rock Band Iron Sights will be joining us in the Swanton Village Green on July 3rd for a patriotic celebration from 5 to 6 p.m.
oh, that's
And there
nice.
was one thing that's not on there at all, and that's the joint, we will be attending the village trustees meeting next Monday evening at 10 o'clock, Monday, June 10th. The village trustees meeting, because they would have the presentation.
What's the time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
June
Yeah.
10th?
Yeah.
Which is also the MVSD informational meeting for their budget at the Missisquoi Valley Union High School Library at 7 p.m.
Well, it's a good thing
Why would
they came
schedule
here
it the
tonight.
same day?
Well,
June, it's the 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
Yeah, that's the,
So June 10th, and that's gonna be up at the village office?
yes, yeah.
okay, Brian, you're gonna talk about the FEMA.
Okay, a couple of years ago, the state, had a program whereby they would, make up the gap in, buying out property, that is in a flood zone. Prior to that, FEMA would only pay 75% of fair market value, and the state is funding, to bring it up to 100%. In the town of Swanton, we had 3 properties that were had applied for that, had been approved by the state, and is currently still sitting with FEMA to decide whether they're going to get, FEMA will approve it. Everybody in the flood zone was sent notice of this and were eligible to join, but it was not that well communicated. I don't feel, this was all done before I got here, but it was not that well communicated, and many people thought it was some sort of scam or something. It was not, just wasn't handled well by the state. I said it, but that's what it is. So, there's a very tight window. I believe the applications have to be submitted by mid-August, and I just wanted to see if the board was interested in me pursuing that and getting it going again.
I think we should.
I agree.
Doesn't cost us anything,
No,
other than lost tax dollars.
lost tax dollars, but in the end, it's,
We'll pay in one way or the other.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
it could save, somebody's life,
Right.
really. So I will then pursue it, and I'll get together with Reggie and first of all, make sure that this program will apply to this, but I'm quite sure it does. It's the same program, and we'll try to get a little bit more. There's a little bit of paperwork on our part. And if there's property in the village, we as the town have to do the application, because we, under FEMA, we're it when it comes to emergency management. But that's okay, and you know, we do have to go out and take pictures of the property, but that's all part of the process, so, but I'll pursue it.
But
Let you
I
know.
do agree with you though, the communication was not at best, and that might have affected some people one way or the other,
Yeah,
so
I
hope
thought
that
it
we
would be
can do a
better
good
if we
job.
had a public meeting of the people that got these letters, inviting them to say, this is what the program is.
Correct.
And it's voluntary, nobody's forcing you to do it. You can actually go all the way up through the process and at the last minute say, no, I don't wanna do it. And that's it. So,
That's something you and Reggie could do.
yeah, you know, have a public meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Okay,
okay?
Just help me, you gotta vote on this?
No.
No.
June 10th, we're meeting with the village office, meeting up at the village office with the trust,
With the trustees to
at
discuss
7 p.m.
at 7 p.m.
and it is not a joint meeting,
No.
we are attending to discuss the bridge closure.
The bridge closure. It's warned as a joint meeting.
Oh, it is?
Well, yeah, because, but we're not really gonna be taking action, we're gonna discuss it.
Are we sitting in the crowd, or are we sitting
I
at the
think we're
table?
gonna
then?
probably sit up front, but.
Okay,
well,
then I get,
it's pretty much,
Well, we gotta,
Diane had to warn it, I'd have to warn it anyway, so they
More
just,
than three, yeah.
yeah.
hey, if more than three of us go, it's a meeting,
It's a
or
meeting.
or if three go,
It has
it's a
to be-
meeting
it has-
anyway,
Right.
so.
it has to be warned, yes. It has to be warned that we're doing that,
Yeah.
yes.
So on the 17th, though,
Yeah, on the 17th, we have a joint meeting,
At
and
6 p.m.
they come here,
Yeah,
oh, here,
they'll be here. This is our regular meeting, but they're coming here.
Yeah.
To talk about
oh, big thing, we Swanton, promoting Swanton.
promoting Swanton and expanding the village designated, the
Downtown.
official village designation.
Designated downtown, yeah.
So,
Okay,
thank you.
okay.
Yeah. Executive session,
Executive session for a legal matter.
legal matter, okay.
I move that we find that we enter executive session for the select board to receive confidential legal information for which the premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage.
Roll call vote, Steve?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
Joel, yes.
Yes.
Yes. I move that based on our just made findings, the premature disclosure would place the select board and others at a substantial disadvantage. We now enter executive session.